Kanavos Show on New Earth Television.
Welcome to the Children's Author Expert Panel on the Kat Kanavos Show on New Earth TV. I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, but my friends all call me Kat, so I hope you will too. This is a lively group tonight. Let me tell you, we are just having a great time. So we're so glad you're here. We all remember being read to as children. Remember sitting down or snuggling down in bed, and having that book open up, and it's like, oh, you could hear a pin drop. What is the secret ingredient that goes into writing a successful children's book? Our expert panel is here to answer that question and much more. So first, let's meet our panel. So ladies, as I introduce you, would you please hold your book up next to your face so that the audience will know exactly who you are? And we are live on Facebook right now. So hello, everybody on Facebook.
Hello.
Hello.
So let's start with Monica Talbot Kerkes and Sharla Charpentier. Not only are they cousins, they define themselves as soul sisters, and they're co-authors of the Love, Llama, and Friends series. And that is a trademarked series, Love, Llama, and Friends. Monica is a mother of two. She's also a teacher and created the storyline for the book. Now, Sharla is a mother of four, and she's also an attorney, and she created the characters through her drawings. Their website is thelovellamadfriends.com, and love is spelled with two L's, just like llama. So it's the love, L-L-O-V-E, llama, L-L-A-M-A, and friends.com. Now, Kenyetta Obie is the author of Goose Farm Adventures, and she's mother to a young son. Her college major is in childhood development, which led her to a career as a teacher in mainstream and special needs. So Goose Farm Adventures is the first in a series of books Kenyetta plans to bring to the world of early childhood learning. And her website is sillygooseLearning.com. That's SILLYGOOSELEARNING.com. Brittney Overstreet is the author of I Am a Little Royal. And she's a wife and the mother of four powerful little royals. She's passionate about creating a culture of royalty within the hearts and minds of parents, children, and families around the world. And her website is littleroyals.org. And that's Little Royals, ROYALS.org. So let's start with, I'm just going to go across our panel here. I'm going to start with Monica. Monica, what was your biggest writing challenge with the children's books?
The writing challenge, writing the book was the most fun, but it's really a huge learning curve going through the whole process of publishing and just everything from getting on Amazon to author copies being sent to you. It takes a long time. Every single thing you can imagine takes a lot of time, and you just really need to focus and not get discouraged, just keep going.
You know, Sharla, Monica's talking about time, and fortunately right now, a lot of people were locked down. So they had like all the time in the world to do their writing. What was your main writing challenge? What did you find the most challenging?
Well, because we were locked down and I have four young children who were also locked down, I was trying to juggle basically teaching them and trying to get the book written and published. So constant distractions. It was, you know, mommy's trying to write, mommy's doing this, mommy has to call the publisher, and just balancing that process.
Yeah, and I'm sure they couldn't have cared less. It's like, Mommy, read to me. So, Brittany, you've got little royals running all over the house while you're writing. What was your biggest challenge?
As Monica said, the writing was the fun part. It was more so of balancing the time to be able to initially find the publisher. I did not know Teresa. I didn't meet her until September. And it was through my illustrator that I was able to connect with her because I actually ran into a stumbling block. And when I met her, it just seemed like things took off. And once we had that part, we met that part, everything else seemed to just fall in place. So the publishing, as Monica stated, really it's like the meat of the process. And once you get that, you really feel like, you know, you could just sort of take off.
Mm-hmm. So you were talking about Teresa. Brittany, explain to our audience who Teresa is. They're probably thinking that's one of your children.
No. Teresa's not one of my children, but she has definitely become a wonderful friend. Talisa Velarde is our publisher. Her publishing company is Book Endeavors. Teresa just really became a breath of fresh air for me. This was totally new for me. I'm just stepping into authorship. So her guidance and her experience really gave me that confidence that no matter what I was facing in this process, she always assured me that everything was going to work out, and she definitely kept her promise.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Kenyetta, what did you find was your biggest writing challenge? And you had, you know, Kenyetta, again, along with Monica and Sharla, they're part of our coaching package. So I saw what it was like in their home during COVID. And poor Kenyetta had a house full of children.
Well, the writing part was easy. I had been wrote the story. So like you said, just finding a quiet spot because I had a school in my house at the time. So finding a quiet spot to stay focused. And also with my writing, making sure that it captured the kids' attention. I wanted to make sure it was creative and, you know, entertaining for the child. So that was one of my worries.
You know, I didn't send you this question, but I'm going to put you all on the spot right now. Monica, did you beta test your book on your children?
Well, my children are older. So Sharla, like she said, has 4 little ones. So she was the prime beta tester, but I have nieces and nephews and I read that to them and they responded.
Oh, great.
It was encouraging. Mm-hmm.
Sharla, what about you? You did beta test your book on your children?
Yes, I did, all the way through the process from my character sketches. They saw those in the initial form. They gave feedback. They freely give feedback to Monica and I working on the story, different versions of that. You know, if maybe there was one word, we would say, oh, I wonder what, let's ask the kids. What, you know, if we couldn't decide, they could decide. And I think that we plan to use children feedback even more.
Ah, that's great. What about you, Brittany? Did you try your book out on your children first and make sure that they were interested?
Yes, I did. Initially, the idea for the book came about with the words in the book. It's more like positive affirmations. And so we were actually doing it, not realizing that this could actually be a book. And so they began to remember the words in the book. And so once they actually saw the finished product, they were very excited about the whole finished product because they were like, Mommy, it's a book, because we were actually already saying it anyway. And so, of course, just like everybody else said, children are very honest. So they liked it right off the bat. But I would imagine if they didn't like something, they would have told me. Oh, instantly.
Yeah. Instantly, yeah. What about you, Kenyetta? I think that you had a whole house full of kids, did you? Yeah. Tell us how that worked.
Yeah, but I had been wrote the story, so my children at my old job where I used to work, they all knew the story. They were originally supposed to be the illustrator of the book, so it was all about putting a face to name for me. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So, you know, you were all talking about the writing was the fun part. It was the publishing that seemed to be the real challenge. And you know, that's true. Writers don't realize, and that's why this panel, it was so important that you bring this up. Writing the book's the easy part. I mean, as hard as it seems to write a book, that's the easy part. It's the publishing that is the real challenge. Finding a publisher, finding one that you really like, you know, getting your book published, going through all those learning steps that Monica was talking about. So I'm going to ask you each again, share a publishing tip with our audience, because I'll bet you there are a lot of writers out there going, yeah, I'm almost done with my book, and now what do I do with publishing? If I could have a tip, I might be less anxious about it. So let's start again with you, Monica. What's a publishing tip?
Yeah, I would really just say stay positive, because it's so easy to go because you're frightened, you're afraid maybe your book won't sell. You know you have something great though, so you have to keep going back to that. I find myself constantly doing that, reminding myself that, you know, we're doing what we love. We have a great book that we know the world will love, and just to have faith in that. So stay positive.
I love that. What about you, Sharla?
I definitely think a lot of determination and perseverance is necessary. And I also think that hybrid publishing is something to really consider. It really worked for us because we wanted a lot of artistic control, and there's more flexibility in it, but you still have a publisher guiding you through the process.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sharla. I didn't even think of that, and that's where that attorney mind comes in, because you're trademarking everything in your book, so you want to all that content and any of the other ideas that you come up with. So a hybrid publisher is able to allow you to do that, whereas a conventional publisher, that's going to be very difficult, because you practically sign your children away when you sign on with them. And I can say that for sure, because one of my books is published through conventional publishing, Inner Traditions, and distributed by Simon & Schuster. So I've done hybrid and conventional publishing, and my other books are all conventionally published. So I do know that there is a big difference, and it depends on what your game plan is. So Brittney, what would you like to share with us for a publishing tip?
I would say be humble, and at your first meeting with your publisher, put it all out there. Don't try to hold back or, you know, try to have everything corrected. The whole purpose of getting a publisher is to allow their expertise to be able to find the grammatical errors, you know, all these different types, that's their expertise. And so allow them to take that pressure off of you instead of trying to be, you know, so suchy much. They're there to help. And so, I mean, I just laid it all out there, and she was able to do what she was gifted to do. And it made the partnership easy, because she was able to do her thing, and I was able to let her know my vision, and we were able to come to an agreement and just flow together. So I would say remain humble.
Oh, I so agree, Brittney, because even when I was doing conventional publishing and the hybrid publishing, you very seldom get it right the first time. You've got to go back over and over, and you're tweaking and you're tweaking and you're tweaking until you finally get it right. And so you've got to really be patient and work with your publisher. It doesn't matter whether you're with Simon & Schuster or some small little hybrid, teeny tiny hybrid publisher. It's very seldom going to be perfect the first time. Yeah, that's a great point, Brittney. Really a good one. Kenyetta, what tip would you like to share with our audience about publishing?
I was also going to say to stay patient, because you do come across a lot of small, tiny mistakes before you post your book or before your book goes live. To stay motivated, build a relationship with your publisher, get to know one another. You know, so she knows how to help you, he or she knows how to help you. But I would just say keep going, stay motivated, and trust the process.
Oh, Great advice. I think that's great advice. So yeah, I know that, like I said, the writing part is so easy because it's just you and your mind and your typewriter. But then you've got to get into this collaborative work environment and ethics with your publisher. And that's a whole different story. And they know what they're doing. Especially if you go to their website, they've got a lot of books on that website that they publish. They know what they're doing. Right. And if you're a fledgling and new, you're going to be learning from them. So one more thing, if there were a secret ingredient to author success, because you are all successful authors. I've looked at your books. They're beautiful. They're great. And you're publishing book after book after book. If there was a secret ingredient, what would you call it? Let's start with you, Monica.
Perseverance. That's it. I mean, you just have to keep going and going. Like the other ladies were saying, you run into bumps and you just need to be able to shrug them off, whatever you bump into, and you just got to keep going no matter what. And don't lose hope, don't lose faith, just trust the process, as Kate said.
Yeah. Keep on keeping on. That's a great ingredient. What about you, Sharla?
Well, we already touched on this, but I'll bring it up again because I think it's so important for children's books to get the feedback from children during the process, throughout the entire process. And you know, staying true to yourself, because there's times where people will give feedback and opinions, and whether it's a publisher, illustrator, whatnot, and they have good intentions, but really you have to be authentic and follow your instinct.
I agree with that. Brittney, what's your secret ingredient?
I would say to know your why, your message, just as Sharla said, to be able to stay true to yourself. Like, why did you start writing these books, and whatever message it is that you're wanting to send out in that book, stay with the message and allow that to be your gas, and to persevere, as Monica mentioned. But I believe having a why and a purpose really keeps you going, even after it's published, to be able to push sales and different things like that, because you know, if this message gets to this child or this group of children, their lives will be changed, their families will be changed. And so I think the why is the secret ingredient.
Oh, the why. It's the why in the message. It's like the salt and pepper. It might be secret, but it makes all the difference in the world. Great. And finally, Kenyetta, what's your secret ingredient to being a successful author?
I would say seeing it through, getting it done. Because sometimes people start projects and they get, you know, they're not motivated anymore and they don't see it through. So I would say if you start something, see it to the end. See it through.
That's good.
Good one. That's a good one. Yeah, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep on keeping on. So how can we find you, your book, and do you have a free gift for the audience? So let's start again with you, Monica.
Yep. We're on Amazon, and you can go to our website, www.thelovelamaandfriends.com, and that's double L for love, double L for llamas. On our website, you can email us and we'll give you free coloring pages and crossword puzzles. So.
Oh, that's nice. That, you know, Sharla, was that your idea? Because I know I see parents taking their children into the restaurants and the first thing you do is whip out a coloring page with some crayons.
Yeah, absolutely. It was not my idea, but as soon as we heard it, we said, yes, we need to do that. And I beta tested that on my own children. I printed them all, you know, coloring pages and crossword puzzles, and the kids sat down and it was great. It was 30 minutes where they did it on their own. I got to make dinner.
I love that. Brittney, tell us where we can find you, your book, and do you have a gift for us?
Yes, you can find my book on Amazon, and it is called, again, as Kat mentioned, I Am a Little Royal on Amazon. My website is www.littleroyals.org. And we also have coloring sheets. It's the coloring sheet of the front cover of the book. And the children, especially with, there's in and out virtual learning, it's an opportunity for some quiet time or before bed, they can have a coloring sheet just to remind them of their royalty.
And they are little royals, aren't they? Kenyetta, I saw your your whole house was full of little royals jumping all over the place. They were the cutest things I've ever seen. So tell us where we can find your book and if you've got a gift for us.
Yes, I am also on Amazon, or you can log on to my website, sillygooselearning.com. And I also have an IG page, which is also at Silly Goose Learning. And I also have coloring pages. If you subscribe to my website, you will get 3 coloring pages.
Wow. So if you're listening to this show today, or even if you're listening to it in the archives, you can still go to their websites, download all those coloring pages. Think of all the restaurants you can go to for the next weeks and weeks and weeks and have coloring sheets for your kids and your grandkids. Take it with you when you go out to dinner with them. Well, I want to thank you all so much for being on this panel.
Thank you.
Thank you
for inviting us.
Oh, ladies, you've been a joy to interview, and I want to thank our audience for hanging in here with us. We had a few little tweaks that we had to do to get on the show today, but we're so glad you were here. A big shout out to Rachel, our producer, who's always just amazing. And until the next time on the Kat Kanavos Show, read to your children, read to them, and teach them that love and friendship is an important skill. Good night, everyone.
Good night.